session mixtape. ATN, Genius Boy collaboration. Let's go. We dealing with hidden assassin, silent killers. Hidden assassin, silent killers. With hidden assassin, silent killers. Government-sponsored, corporate-funded drug dealers. With hidden assassin, silent killers. Hidden assassin, silent killers. With hidden assassin, silent killers. Government-sponsored, corporate-funded drug dealers. Wake up. Y'all better unplug from that matrix, man. Open your eyes. See the world for what it really is. You know what I'm saying? Genius Boy beat. Israel, stand up. Nazarene. Praise y'all for life.
Initially, I was not of interest to FDA because I think pharmaceutical companies were not interested in what I had. I think the biggest problem began when pharmaceutical companies, when the government realized that I have something very valuable, which can get rid of cancer in a number of people, and the cancer which was incurable by any other means.
The Texas state attorney, at the behest of the FDA, wants to strip Brzezinski of his medical license and shut down his clinic. At the trial, several months later, the FDA brings 75 counts against Dr. Brzezinski. Not one of them is related to the safety or efficacy of anti-neoplastons.
The charges were essentially shipping a medicine across state lines. Give me a break. I mean, that's a capital crime? It's ridiculous. Absolutely, and it wasn't even true. But this is a very, very tight monopoly.
Despite spending 13 years and an estimated $8 million prosecuting him, Brzezinski is acquitted of all charges, with the jury foreman stating, "I think this was a government witch hunt. I couldn't find any victims."
Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, God.
Patients like Mary Jo Siegel and Paul Michaels are permitted to stay on anti-neoplaston treatments. But as former FDA Chief Counsel Peter Barton Hutt has said, if you beat the FDA in court, you have an angry FDA that is willing to slit your throat. So while the government cannot strip Dr. Brzezinski of his medical license, they can dramatically change the rules governing admittance to his clinic.
Since Dr. Brzezinski began treating cancer patients with anti-neoplastons, he has successfully treated virtually every type of cancer, relieving thousands of families from across the world of this dread disease. Yet, unlike other clinical trials which are supported by billion-dollar pharmaceutical companies and are often assisted by large tax-funded research grants from the National Cancer Institute, the United States government currently prohibits any taxpayer money to be granted to Dr. Brzezinski's FDA-approved clinical trials.
A simple phase 3 trial will cost about $25 million. So how many can you run? Okay, you may run few at best. Nobody is giving you money for that. We have to make money for that. Okay, and it's $25 million. Okay. Some other pharmaceutical companies will come with the idea, they go to a National Cancer Institute and they will receive handsome grant, $15 million, whatever, okay? And they do clinical trials. Nobody is giving me any money, okay? And I am working like in the wartime condition, okay? Like working somewhere in the Gaza Strip or West Bank, okay? When the bombs are falling in Europe, but you still have to treat patients, you still have to do phase 2 clinical trials.
Given the existence of a treatment that is curing cancer at a rate that traditional medicine could only dream of, and doing so without any damaging side effects, most would assume that every penny of our tax dollars allocated for cancer research would be thrown in Dr. Brzezinski's direction.
The problem that we face, however, is that a huge financial house has been built on the paradigm of purging the body of cancer cells. Brzezinski's discovery means that the foundation, the walls, and the roof of that house need to be replaced.
The American Cancer Society should have been funding Brzezinski. I mean, his data was clearly provocative, but they got on board to put him out of business.
You're the American Cancer Society. Don't you want cancer to be prevented in America? Instead, they end up on the side of the government, arguing that the information should be censored, suppressed, never allowed to reach the American consumer. Well, that speaks volumes, I think. And then you have to ask yourself, who does the American Cancer Society represent? Well, the answer with all nonprofit organizations is defined by where their financial support comes from.
We're raising $27,000 for the Rip on Wall.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month was actually initiated by the company that makes tamoxifen. The devices for mammograms are made by General Electric, and General Electric is in a relationship with the people behind Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So there's a huge, huge industry that has been invested in breast cancer. Although the goal is noble, to me it's obscene that these companies are using the symbol of the pink ribbon for commercial purposes only. Very few dollars ever make it to really help women.
This is a business. American Cancer Society is a business of getting donations. And what I say to people when they give money to these agencies, you are perpetuating the failure. Because if the American Cancer Society actually found a cure for cancer, in their bylaws it said they must disband.
Think about it. You know, you've got thousands of doctors in oncology and in oncology residency programs. You've got the pharmaceutical industry pumping out chemotherapeutic agents every month. There are all kinds of machines that deliver radiation. You got all this stuff in the war on cancer, and it's trillions of dollars. I find it very interesting that we have all these walks for the cure of cancer. You got all the wristbands. You got all the donations. We're going to find a cure this decade. All this money keeps pouring in, and it all goes to the same guys.
In the past, when NCI or its assigned entity conducting an alternative cancer therapies, they always altered the protocol and let it fail to discredit the therapy. But this time, the pharmacokinetic data shows that they didn't do it right. And most scientists would not look at it carefully because Papa is telling you something and you don't question him.
Most of us would assume that with any story such as this, surely there's another side to it. Our story is no exception. After the National Cancer Institute intentionally violated all protocols of their own anti-neoplaston trials, and after all state and federal agencies had failed in their 14-year campaign to remove Brzezinski from society, after all of the dust settled, a profound truth began to emerge. On October 21st, 1991, the United States of America, as represented by the Department of Health and Human Services, and Dr. Davorit Samid filed a patent for anti-neoplastons AS2-1. They even had the audacity to include Brzezinski as a reference. The invention described herein may be manufactured, used, and licensed by or for the government for governmental purposes. At the time, Brzezinski had no idea this had happened, but did have his suspicions when they began to openly test phenylacetate without him, and the National Cancer Institute knew it. In an April '93 NCI memo distributed to those involved with Brzezinski, they state their concerns. Political issues are a real concern. Congressman Bedell is concerned we are taking the anti-neoplastons away from Brzezinski. Brzezinski has patent on anti-neoplastons. Since phenylacetic acid, or phenylacetate, may be the active component in anti-neoplastons, our involvement has become an issue. 5 months later, the United States of America and Dr. Dvorak Samid file their second extended patent on anti-neoplastons. And guess who else was in it? In March of the following year, America files its most extensive updated anti-neoplaston patent to date, spanning 111 pages. 7 months later, they file a fourth one. June 6, 1995, the United States government has a field day filing their 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th extended patent on anti-neoplastons. The following day, America files its 9th, 10th, and 11th extended anti-neoplaston patent. And a couple of months after the 11th patent was filed, Dr. Michael Friedman leaves his position at the National Cancer Institute and becomes Deputy Commissioner of Operations for the Food and Drug Administration, working directly under Dr. David Kessler. And by November of that year, after a decade of failed grand juries, the United States of America's Food and Drug Administration finally manages to indict Dr. Brzezinski. 1 month into America's criminal trial against Brzezinski, America's first patent on anti-neoplaston AS2-1 is approved. A month after America fails in their second trial against Brzezinski, their second and third anti-neoplaston patents are approved. Over the course of the next 3 years, the United States Patent Office approves all 11 copycat patents on anti-neoplastons AS2-1. These patents are full of useful information. The most revealing piece of information found in these patents is where they state current approaches to combat cancer rely primarily on the use of chemicals and radiation, which are themselves carcinogenic and may promote recurrences and the development of metastatic disease. Let's read that one again, shall we? Current approaches to combat cancer rely primarily on the use of chemicals and radiation, which are themselves carcinogenic and may promote recurrences and the development of metastatic disease.
How could the U.S. Patent Office be corrupted to the point that they issue patents on medical therapies that had already been patented and issue them to someone who had nothing to do with their discovery or use? How could that happen? And how could the Patent Office then assign these fraudulent patents to some of the most powerful institutions in American government? And imagine, all of this was being done while these same government agencies were spending millions of taxpayers' dollars trying to put Dr. Brzezinski in jail so that he could not fight the criminal theft of his discovery.